If you're cooking out tonight, Dak Prescott will be playing for the Dallas Cowboys against the Minnesota Vikings. Jackson does not believe that Dak should be in the NFL. But if you're cooking out tonight, I'm sorry, Drew, come in.
If Dak had a fade, he would be ready to roll.
Dak thinks he's got a fade, but he doesn't have a Meadows fade. I'm gonna tell you, I'll call him after the show.
Good Lord.
I'll send him a pic.
If you're cooking out tonight, you want to stop by the J. Olive Company and grab some good juice for the grill. They have all the balsamics and olive oils that you can mix together when you're cooking your steak or the ribs, pork tenderloin. And then, of course, you can combo that into dips. And they can give you an idea of the who and the how and the why, and then you can experiment. All at the J. Olive Company, Township in Ridgeland. Plus, they have corporate gift baskets to thank your clients and employees. Corporate gift baskets at the J. Olive Company. Do we have Bartu? Bartu, good morning. What's up, buddy? CFB Matrix, Dave Bartu.
I was confused. I keep hearing all these voices. It sounds like you're doing the show live from some gator boat in the swamp, and all this stuff coming around here. I'm not used to it.
Man, we're in studio today.
No, I gotta get down there.
I know we have a full bar.
We still haven't connected that. We still haven't. I know I could just pass out, stay in the studio overnight, do a show in the morning.
Actually, that could happen.
What? Oh no, that would be great. I would love to do that. It reminds me of the one time my brother-in-law, he changed his mind about going to the Rose Bowl. Rose Bowl, 1,300 miles from my house.
Mm-hmm.
We left the day before the Rose Bowl, and at the Rose Bowl is surrounded by a golf course. We parked next door and slept in the bushes on the golf course. Got up in the morning, crashed tailgates all day, went to the game, boom, drove 1,300 miles straight back the next right after the game.
Oh, that is awesome. I bet that was a hell of a road trip.
Yeah, exactly. See, you know how it's kind of like, you know how your wife says, oh, I hope it's a perfect holiday Christmas. Well, crap, you don't remember anything when it's perfect. What you need is when you say amen at the end of the prayer, all the lights go out. Mm-hmm. That you remember.
I love it. Bartu's on a heater. Do we have any Bartuisms? Let's drop a couple as we get warmed up here on some Oregon and then some college football playoff rankings. As it looks like.
Get that guy drunk. I bet he'd fight everybody.
All right, one more.
Ooh, so tasty and ironic.
One more.
Hot take.
Love it. Love it. All right, we're getting warmed up. Dave Bartu on the New Belgium Fat Tire Hotline. Bartu, we had Brad Edwards on. Of course, he greatly respects you and vice versa. You two guys are two of the smartest guys in college football. He believes that Ohio State is staying in the well, he didn't say that definitively, but boy, he sure you get the feeling he thinks they're staying in the top four regardless of what happens. What are your thoughts?
Doesn't it feel like they should?
That's what Brad said.
Really, when you look at everything, yeah, exactly. Doesn't it feel like they should? That's why they shouldn't. Okay. And I'm actually rooting for just one simple scenario. Washington wins, Clemson wins, Penn State wins. Because then we know if Ohio State wins that the conference title is not that important. And head-to-head is just not that important in terms of what they call their eye test. But see, I'm still leaning. I have most of my chips on Ohio State out right now. I don't believe they're in. I think they need Penn State to lose to get in. Maybe Washington lose to get in. Clemson lose to get in. But if everything stays status quo and it's Penn State, Washington, because we know Clemson wins, they're in. Boom, it's done. You know, Washington wins, boom, it's in, they're done. But that Penn State, and if you go back and you look at what this committee does on the very last week, because remember, they always tell you, we only rank based on what's happened. We only rank based on what's happened. And it always goes haywire right at the end because that conference title is so much. You know, could you imagine Jim Delaney or Larry Scott or Mike Slide at the time actually agreeing to have a playoff where there was really good odds that there'd be two teams from one conference in there? No way in hell.
Right.
Right? You know, now, sure, you're SEC. You're an SEC country. You got a lot of talent there. So, of course, you want that open because 14 teams, 8 conference games, you have the ability to have two 12-0 teams in your conference title game. But I just honestly, based on their behavior, I'm going to go the other way. If Penn State, if Washington, if Clemson, if they all win this weekend, Ohio State is going to be watching the playoffs.
Oh, wow. Brad even threw out a scenario.
Right now.
Brad even threw out a scenario that they may leave Washington out even if they win. But you're not buying that at all.
No. Could you imagine 12-1 and leaving them out? I mean, seriously. That would be absolutely nuts. And Washington's resume just isn't that bad. In fact, when Washington wins, even if Ohio State wins, or Ohio State stays at 4, I'd say Washington's going to leapfrog them. So you're going to have Alabama, Clemson, Washington, then Ohio State or Penn State. So I really believe that is going to be the order that we're going to see it. You're going to have SEC versus Big Ten no matter what. Alabama's going to be playing Ohio State or Penn State, and then you're going to have Washington playing Clemson.
Oh, okay. Why do they want to? Why the SEC Big Ten matchup?
What do you mean? Why?
I'd rather see it in the championship game.
That has nothing to do with it. They use a formula. That's where they fit in the formula.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's not what you want, but shoot, they did it. They've already done it.
I know. They did Bama Ohio State 2 years ago. I know. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
Right, and that was your national title game. And you know something? If Ohio State plays Alabama in the first round, guess what? That's your national title game as well.
There's no doubt that is the national title game. Dave Bartu, CFB Matrix. Follow Dave on Twitter at CFB Matrix. So if Penn State loses and Bama, Clemson, Washington hold serve, then it's Ohio State. But where do you think? Okay, how about that? Penn State loses, so they're out.
Yeah, they're out, and then Ohio State has that head-to-head. But again, do we really know how powerful that conference title is? We really don't. But what we do know is the last 8 teams to get in the playoffs have all held that piece of paper that said conference champion. So and I'm a trend guy, and that's always been the trend. And you and I both know to put this playoff together, a lot of people think it's the committee that makes the rules, right? No. The people that made the rules are the people who put the playoffs together, the people that brokered that, the people that said, yeah, we're going to have a playoff. Let's see how big the check is, and here's how we're going to ensure one of our teams is always in the playoffs. So I still say right now, until something changes, and maybe we'll see it next week, is conference championships probably trump everything. But, yeah, I mean, I think the big one there is the head-to-head. Ohio State did beat Wisconsin in Wisconsin.
But you feel like if Penn State loses, what you're telling me is you think that Ohio State will fall to 4 so that Bama and Ohio State can play and Clemson and Washington can play. Is that right?
I don't think it's not so they can play. I just see in the formula that's where they fall to.
Okay, because they're not the conference champion, correct? Okay.
Yeah, they're not the conference champion. Plus, Washington's going to pick up an extra top 25 game, and they're going to pick up an extra quality win, and their SOS is going to improve. See, that's what people don't realize when you play this conference championship game. You get tons of goodies that the committee loves that nobody else gets that's playing that. You get that extra win. You get that extra quality win, the top 25 win. Your strength of schedule improves. You get a conference title. You get all of these presents. Washington's going to have this big stocking full of presents, and Alabama or something like Ohio State's going to be sitting there with nothing. And it's that accumulation of all that stuff that really makes teams jump right at the end.
All right. Dave Bartu at CFB Matrix on Twitter. He joins us on the New Belgium Fat Tire Hotline. What about Oregon? You were, by the way, you were very entertaining on Twitter when that all went down. I mean, you're always entertaining on Twitter. You've had some great stuff lately as far as scoring efficiency. I don't want to get into that right now, though. Let's stay with Oregon. What your thoughts on your alma mater?
When was that? Was that the other night?
Yes, dude. You were cracking me up.
Yeah, I kind of might have been drinking a little bit on that one.
Oh, I didn't think there was any doubt you were sipping on a tasty beverage, as you would say.
Well, I was trying to figure out how to mix Oregon Pinot and tequila, and it just wasn't happening. So
I thought that was one of the best tweets. Now, early in the year, now you did start to change your tune the last 2 weeks when we talked to you, but early in the year you said, hey, it's not Oregon's MO to make a change. However, things just didn't even come close to getting, right and straightened out. So Helfrich is out. What is the latest out of Oregon, Dave?
See here, the things that I've been hearing now, a couple of things going back. I heard many, many, many stories, different independent people. Helfrich was gone somewhere between Cal and Stanford. This wasn't something new that came up. I know when they went through the firing process the other night that this decision was quote unquote just recently made. Mm-hmm. Man, there are people everywhere. It was no later than after the Stanford game at home when they gave up 50-something at home, and right after the Cal game when they lost that. So somewhere in there, this process was transitioned. So now you start looking at the names that are popping up, and the usual coaching carousel. Everybody's throwing darts out there trying to figure out, what the best fit is. And somebody's going to be right. There's enough crap on the wall. Somebody's going to be able to claim, hey, I said that name. Okay, great. You can also say the alphabet. It doesn't really mean anything. But the names, oh, man, this is really hard. Really hard. I heard Brian Kelly.
Oh, God. You will torch Rob Mullins on Twitter if he hires Brian Kelly.
Greg Schiano.
Oh, that's even better. I want to see you meltdown in the next week from a super crappy hire from Rob Mullins. Not because I don't wish anything bad on your Ducks. It would just be entertaining selfishly for me.
Sorry. Okay. And I've heard PJ Fleck. And, they went out to interview Taggart, is also what I understand. Mm-hmm. And that's been a hot name. And so my favorite P5 head coach was Patterson. And I actually had two independent people tell me there were some talks there. This would have been a good year to go grab Patterson. 500, down in the dumps a little bit, not going anywhere with TCU. This would have been a good time emotionally to go grab him. I still like the mullet and Gundy. Mm-hmm. I haven't heard anything about that at all. And to me right now, you got to remember Fleck worked for Schiano at Rutgers. Mm. Okay, so there is that. Now you got to keep in mind is I've talked about recruiting so long, for so many years, and I will take personal credit. I am like the godfather of the recruiting narrative, using the recruiting to tell the story in college football.
Yes, you are.
Everybody does it now.
But who was the first to have you on the radio? We were. Go ahead.
Exactly. Right here, this show, April 2012.
I think so.
12. Yeah. I remember it like it was yesterday because I planned it all out, and John threw me right out of the plane with no parachute. I couldn't believe it. Still makes my heart zip up just thinking about it. And so they were really focused on recruiting. Now, P.J. Fleck at Western Michigan, in the last 3 years, now I know it's Western Michigan, but you got to look at this in a bigger vacuum here. Before Fleck showed up 3 years ago, Western Michigan had never had a recruiting class above 86. Okay, it was between 109 and 86 for the previous 13 years. The last 3 years, he went 63, 74, and 58. He actually out-recruited most American Athletic Conference teams. He out-recruited Colorado from Western Michigan. And so Western Michigan has the biggest move in recruiting over the last 4 years. You look at Taggart at South Florida, he's had 3 consecutive years of down recruiting. It's gone the wrong way. Yeah, they're 10-2, but their talent is already trending out the door. It's not going to be sustainable. So when you look at that recruiting trend, when you look at that young guy they seem to be targeting, that hot name, and you go Fleck and Taggart, there's no question it has to be Fleck. Now, here's a juicy one. the head recruiter, organizer, coordinator, whatever his title is at Temple, who worked for Schiano and with Fleck at Rutgers.
Who?
Somehow followed. I don't know what his name is, but somehow it got back to me that he yesterday suddenly followed every single Duck commit.
Oh. Jackson, Drew, I want to know. Tell me who it is again we're looking for, Dave.
It's like the head recruiting coordinator at Temple.
Good Lord.
Worked for Schiano and with Fleck.
Okay. Who's the Temple coach?
Rule.
He's been hot, right?
Oh, he's hot too. But you're also looking at blending. I mean, you know how when they say McElwain, you've heard that name a lot, right? Too to Oregon. You know, he's a Pacific Northwest guy. How long? You've seen Florida play offense, right? How long would it take Oregon to restructure its entire roster to play that kind of offense? Years, right? 3 years at least.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So, you know, I mean, if you're talking about a guy like that, you're talking about just blowing everything up. You know, personally, if you want as much continuity in the offense as possible, which I think is fine, Oregon was 4-8 this year. They were 33rd in total offensive scoring efficiency with 8 losses. They were the only team in the top 50 of scoring efficiency that isn't bowl eligible. The offense is fine. The offense personnel is fine. It just came down to 3 bad hires, okay? Because he drove off Aliotti, he hired Pelham, then he hired Hoke. If he would have hired Josh Wilcox instead of Wisconsin grabbing him, if he'd have hired Todd Orlando when he had a shot, we wouldn't even have this discussion. He just made 2-3 bad DC hires. That's all they are away from this. So, you know, a lot of people ask, you know, who would you go for? I would stay with offensive continuity. I'd go grab Phil Montgomery out of Tulsa, and then I'd go grab a defensive coordinator. I'd go to Wisconsin and try to steal Wilcox back because he doesn't make much there. Or you go to Colorado and steal Jim Leavitt because he's making nothing there. In fact, if anybody in the SEC needs a really good defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
Jim Leavitt's working for peanuts up in Boulder.
Yeah, Ole Miss fans are talking about how they want him. The only thing is, I don't know if somebody like that would take a job at a program that's looking at NCAA sanctions. So any other time it would make sense because Ole Miss can pay $700 plus. But you're right. Yeah, Leavitt has been on the board discussions for Rev fans now that they fired their. I'm sorry, he retired. Whatever. Dave Womack retired as the Ole Miss DC.
Retired.
Yeah, right. Okay, dude. We may have to do this again sooner than later. I don't know. I don't know about tomorrow, but Monday or Tuesday, because I've got a lot more to get to, but I got to take a break and we got to wrap up the show. So please keep entertaining me on Twitter and be good. All right, bud?
All right. Hey, just give me a call. Just tell the producer, just call Bartu now. We need him on. I will answer the phone if I'm available.
Bam. Since 2012, Dave Bartu at CFB Matrix. See you, dude. Be good, Bartu. We'll take a break. Dave joined us on the New Belgium Fat Tire Hotline. Straight ahead, we'll wrap it up and we'll discuss Jackson's fade.